The Devil's Elbow refers to a hairpin bend on an old road in Scotland, and that road's been replaced now by the new road, which is the highest road in the UK. Anyway, our walk started not far from here, and it was an early start on a beautiful, beautiful morning. Good night, you Millicum. There you go. Right, go right this way. Well, good morning, folks. Hopefully you can see me. What a stunning morning we've got here. And I'm out with the dog and the wee man again. And this is another one of these Munros which will probably go into the easier walks, but it's easy, but it's stunning, especially on a day like today. I can actually see the route that we're doing. We're going to try and do a horseshoe, and there'll be 2 Munros involved in this, and if it stays like this, it's going to be perfect. And I'm hoping to see some wildlife on this trip as well, but I'll reveal a bit more once I get further up towards the summit. Need to crack on and catch up with my son now. Right, let's go. After following a small burn for a short distance, we struck onto the open hillside, and a lot of the hills round about here is nice easy walking once you get up onto the tops, but you have to get up onto the tops first before you get there, and there's always a bit of effort required. And when the sun's blazing down and there's not much wind, that's what was happening today. We were feeling the heat, but we were still plodding on towards the summit. After a bit of hard work, we approached the Bílach, and at this point we decided to take the first of many little breathers today and just relax for a while and enjoy the morning views. Well, we're up in I wouldn't say the ridge, but we're at the Bílach now. And there's a couple of things that are really nice out reaching Bílachs. One is you get the view that you've not seen yet. So we've come up here and we're now looking south. And the second thing is there's a southerly breeze. So coming up the steep part, we were out of the breeze completely. And just coming up here, there's a lovely slight breeze which is helping to cool us off. Because it's warm, I brought my jacket and everything thinking I'd have to put it on, but I don't think I'll need to put it on today, which is great because we're only at 7:30 at the moment. And it's pretty warm, so that bodes well. Hopefully we'll be back down at the car before the midday sun reaches its full strength, because we're just a few weeks away from the longest day and the sun can be pretty strong, so remember your sun cream. Anyway, we've stopped having a bite to eat here, having a wee rest, and then we've got a final steep pull to go to get onto the first summit, and then we're going to go along to the second Munro and make a loop of it and come back down. Hopefully, that's the plan anyway. But we're just going to sit here for a bit longer, enjoy the views and the cooling breeze. After having a short break, it was soon time to get the backpack on and start heading up again. We weren't too far from the first summit, but we still had to negotiate some steep, rocky terrain, and we decided to skirt round the side of the first summit to make a wee bit of a shortcut heading directly towards the first Munro of the day. Skirting round the mountain, we encountered some scree or rocky scree slopes, and they were quite steep, so you do need to take a wee bit of care here. I don't know if I'd fancy this under some fresh snow, to be honest with you. Anyway, we soon negotiated the traverse round the side of the peak, and once we got a wee bit higher up, the wind started to hit us, so we stopped to get a wee layer on to keep ourselves warm before heading on the short journey to the summit of the first Munro. Heading up onto the summit ridge, there's a lovely stone dike which provides a lovely navigational tool should the weather be a bit misty, but that wasn't the case today. It was just lovely clear blue skies, and we headed up with the ground getting rockier and rockier before we eventually reached the summit, which had an unusual feature perched in the summit cairn which I hadn't seen before. We touched that and then just dropped down a little distance into the shelter to get a wee bite to eat and stop and figure out what we were going to do next. So we've actually just come up and over the first summit, Craig Ligiach. It's about 950 metres, and we didn't stop because there was people coming up. We're now on the more popular route up the mountain, which starts at the higher point of the Glenshee car park, but it was good to come up the way we did. It's recommended in the Scottish Munro Society or the SMC guidebook coming up from the car park that we did, and it makes it a nice round of the two Munros. And I'd never been up that way as well. I've been up this hill 5 or 6 times, but never come up from that direction. So it's always nice to explore a hill you've been up before, but going up a different route, it always feels different. And I know there's routes up it from the east as well, so I'll maybe do that the next time. But it's lovely. The views are far-flung. There's a few bits and bobs of cloud bubbling up now. I think we've got the best of the day. It's 9:15 now. And I think we're going to head on to try and get to the second Munro, Glass Mall, and I'll discuss what it was like the last time I was here about 8 months ago when we get on a wee bit further. But for now, we're just going to enjoy the views and have another breakfast, I think. The stone wall provided a lovely place for us to sit, some well-shaped slabs for our backsides, and we did have a second breakfast, another couple of Scotch eggs devoured, and we headed on. And there's a few rocky ups and downs as you're coming off this hill, but soon you get onto the lovely grassy terrain, nice easy walking between the Munros up here, and there's not too much of a drop between these two hills. And once you get down to the Bealach here, it's not too far to the summit of Glass Mall and the second Munro of the day. Oh right, so we're at the Bealach now, in between the two Munros. You can probably just see over my shoulder, that's where we've come from. It's a grey rocky mountain. I'm kind of glad to be back in this lovely soft spongy grass again, and going up to Glass Mall, which is behind us. It's pretty grassy and it's not too much of a steep ascent. It's quite nice walking. It's lovely, absolutely gorgeous. What a day for it. We're still quite early. We're not even at 9:30 yet, but we have met a few other day trippers out and about enjoying it. They've come up from the ski centre the way that we'd done it before, but yeah, it's lovely. And there's plenty of, you'll have noticed some of these dikes in some of my previous videos from this area, like when I did the wild camp down at the loch in the big quarry. There's lots of these walls or dikes that run across this part of the world, and I tell you what, me and my son were talking about it. We wouldn't have liked to be the people tasked with doing this, because that's proper work. You can imagine in weather like this it would be bad enough, but in a howling gale and chucking it down with rain, trying to get all these stones in a line and lifting them and putting them over. Yeah, hats off to these guys that did that. So anyway, we'll not be working that hard. We're going to move on to the summit of Glass Mall, where we'll report back up there. It always seems to take me a bit longer to get my gear back in the bag and my backpack on. My son always seems to be waiting for me when I do this. But he was waiting patiently, and as was the dog, and we headed off, and it wasn't far now to get to the top. But the sun was still shining, the skies were blue. It was a really lovely day in this part of Perthshire today, and we stopped quite a few times just to make sure the dog was getting enough water. And we even got to some snow patches where we stopped and rubbed some snow on her to make sure she wasn't overheating. But she seemed to be enjoying herself, and yeah, the snow patches indicated we were getting higher in the mountain, and before long we were sat at the summit of Glass Mall just taking in the views. But we didn't hang around, and we were soon heading off the summit as there was a few folk there, and continuing our loop round the Devil's Elbow. Well, that's us just come off the summit of Glass Mile. I didn't do a piece to camera up there because I don't know if you can see behind me, there's quite a few people there, and yeah, don't like talking to the camera in case people think I'm a bit mad. Anyway, we've just come off. It's a nice dome summit. I think if I'll put some footage up just now, but the last time I was here was right at the start of the winter, before the lockdown hit in November last year, and this was just covered in snow. Had a great trip up. Lovely day actually, doing these two, but from the car park at the ski centre. But anyway, we're going to do the circuit. We're heading down off the hill here. The views are just great. I can see, you'll not be able to make it out behind me, but over my shoulder is the Cairngorm Massif, and with them being a bit higher up, there's a bit more snow in those, but it's just lovely. What a cracking day we've had it. And it's been one of those days where the jacket's been on and off because it's been warm, cold, warm, cold, but not going to complain. Absolutely fantastic. And yeah, hopefully we all enjoyed it. The dog got a bit warm at one point, but we cooled her off, and she's fine. And yeah, I think my son's enjoyed it. So yeah, all in all, a good day. So time to head back, and we'll head back down the shoulder to the lower car park. Let's go. So we headed off the hill, and we met a lot more people coming up from the ski centre. I think that's definitely the most popular route up these hills, and you can do another 4 Munros and make it a big day, but we just decided to do this circuit round the Devil's Elbow, and before long we were off the main track and heading down our wee shoulder, which was to take us back to our car, and the sun was still shining. Another fine day in the hills. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and I'll see you on the next adventure.